Other than Mar-a-Lago, the one place that took Trump's 2020 election loss the hardest was the state of Arizona, especially if you were a Republican in that state. And earlier this year, if you remember, Republicans in the state Senate led what they called an audit of the 2020 election, specifically in the most populous county, which is Maricopa. Also, of course, disproportionately more people of color there. Biden was the first Democrat to win in that state, win in Arizona in a presidential election since 1996. So obviously they were mad. So what they did was they hired a firm called Cyber Ninja, a pro-Trump firm that had never done an audit before in its probably short lifetime. And after 5 months and a whole lot of money, the results are in, you guys. We have the results. We know what the audit shows. So what did they find? After nearly 6 months and almost $6 million, most of it given by groups that cast doubt on the election results, the draft report shows that the review concluded that 45,469 more ballots were cast for Biden in Maricopa County than for Trump, widening Biden's margin by 360 more votes than the certified results. The draft report found that the count has no substantial differences from the county's certified tallies. SpaghettiOs. Is that what Cyber Ninja intended? Oh my God, they basically just verified the results again. Cenk and Trey, did you see this one coming?
Yeah, no, I didn't, to be honest, because I thought for sure that all right-wingers were tremendous liars. I had no idea that they were actually going to tell the truth. I was really stunned by it. I'm not the only one, as Francesca's going to tell you in a minute. Trump was apparently equally stunned. Can't wait for that part. Anyways, but yeah, they say Biden picked up more votes. But what my favorite is the other folks that were surprised, which is Maricopa County. So their Twitter account started going off on these guys, saying, "Oh, this is not a good audit. Lack transparency, and failed to build trust." I mean, these guys, it turns out they believed in Stop the Steal, the Trump position, even before they started. They were doing a film about how the election was stolen, and they had people who were involved, who were Republicans who were part of it. And I was like, wait, I'm so confused. I'm like, are you criticizing them for being too pro-Trump as they announced that Biden won? Does that make you a Democrat or Republican? So I had to look up Maricopa County, and it turns out the board there is 4-1 Republicans. So the Republicans in Maricopa County are saying, how dare you be biased in our favor? That's why you must have produced the results showing Biden won. Because it doesn't have to make sense.
Well, I also was surprised because the findings, I think, objectively make sense. It's like, the thing that we all knew happened is what they confirmed happened. But it's the first part of this process to have made any sense. Do you know what I mean? Like everything up until this point was very suitably stupid and really fit the scenario down to the name of the firm, Cyber Ninjas. And the people that ran the firm, it was all just really on brand in terms of how stupid it was. So for the ultimate result to be something that seems to fit with reality is kind of surprising to me. But I'm not that encouraged by it because they're just gonna, it's not like they're gonna stop doing these stupid things. They're gonna have more, the digital cowboys will be auditing Texas's results or whatever before long. They'll start trying to flip the, the reputation of this Cyber Ninjas firm in their favor now, talking about how though they were, they'll call them deep state. We could never trust them. They'll do whatever they can to continuously shift the goalpost and just keep on keeping on with these, fraudulent accusations. That's what I think. So I'm glad that, objectivity came, reigned in this instance, but I don't think it's gonna really matter all that much for them.
Yeah.
In fact, in the second hour, JR I know is gonna get into a new audit. This failed audit, I guess, since it didn't, it produced the real results, not the fake real results, the results they desired. So it's already doing what Trey, you're saying, is doing. A little bit more background on why I was surprised and why I thought they would somehow, again, just get some kids to make a crayon ballot, do something, find something, find it in a hole, like Shawshank Redemption style, goats, far away, dig it up, whatever. So Cyber Ninja, they've been stalling for this release, apparently indefinitely. They passed their late May, late August deadlines, claiming to have fallen ill with COVID. Oh, I can't do the audit. They didn't seem terribly eager to lay their cards on the table as today's deadline approached either, responding to a Maricopa County Superior Judge's ruling that they would have to cough up the findings. Their attorney submitted a letter last week stating they didn't recognize, quote, any involuntary legal obligation to do so. Oh, you don't recognize the judge? Yeah, no, see, I never even heard of it. Courts, what, who, law? But they were so bad about this, right? They had to disclose their methodology earlier this year, according to another judge's ruling. They're now being nearly subpoenaed by the US House Oversight and Reform Committee. That's like, what just happened here? Let's get to the bottom of this. They're about to subpoena them. At this point, it's a request for the CEO of Cyber Ninjas to appear. By the way, CEO is this guy named Doug Logan. He's a big Trumper, and the whole thing was back. There was like the former CEO of Overstock.com donated $1 million to this entire thing. But even some of the Republicans Cenk was mentioning, Republicans who voted to authorize the audit later came to regret their votes. This is according to The Hill, as Cyber Ninjas came under increased scrutiny for opaque and shoddy procedures. The company itself, run by a chief executive who openly embraced Trump's false claims about the election results, had never before conducted an election audit. And yet, they kind of did a good job, right? They found more votes for Biden and they confirmed reality.
Yeah, that's exactly the surprising part about it, is because it seems you would have thought it incredibly unlikely that they would end up doing a good job. And it's funny how surprised the other side apparently is at them doing a shoddy job. Also, them with them stalling, do you think they were stalling like that just because they knew that they were finding the results that, that nobody wanted them to find? They're like, and then they started worrying. They're like, oh man, we might get audited. Like they might audit our audit. What's gonna happen when that happens? This might have been a bad idea, man. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't all a big lie.
Yeah, no, but Trey's already proven right. I mean, the Maricopa County's reaction being that, no, you can't rely on this audit because it was the people who did it were too pro-Trump.
Right.
It's so nonsensical attack against Cyber Ninjas from Republicans that you really can't even make heads or tails out of it. So I think that they've gone in so many infinite conspiracy theory loops that they're lost. They're lost in the multiverse. And they don't know which timeline they're in, right? And so, I mean, but there's so many wonderful things about and hilarious things about this. I like that the funders who gave him $6 million, now Maricopa County is saying, oh, did you know that it was these right wingers who were financing this outside, private groups? Yeah, you knew that from day one and you loved it when you thought they were gonna say Trump was gonna win. And then the outside funders are like, did you know these guys have never done an election audit before? Yeah, you knew that when you gave him $6 million. Okay, and by the way, some of it came from the taxpayers of Arizona and some came from these private groups. So all of them pretending to be confused later, including Cyber Ninjas, who I love that excuse in the middle. They're like, COVID ate our homework, and so, and the ballots, but we'll get back to you later. And then finally, like months later, they're like, all right, goddamn it, Biden won. Okay, get off our ass.
Yep.
And but look, there's one more thing here, and I'm going to lead into it with one of our members' comments. So tyt.com/join, you're part of the show. So Dank Pro wrote in, Trump was right. I'm getting really sick of winning right now. We've won so many times in this election. We're getting tired of it. You're right to point that out. I love how funny and smart our audience is. But it goes to the point I wanted to make. Out of all of these horrible cast of characters, it turns out Trump is actually the worst, because these guys, they wanted to lie so badly, but they just couldn't do it. They're like, well, we looked at the ballots, we counted them all by hand, and then we spun them around the table. We did everything we could, but damn it, it turns out Biden won. Whereas Trump would not have hesitated. He just would have been like, oh, Biden vote, Biden vote, Biden vote, Biden vote, light him on fire, who cares? Yeah, just like Francisca said, draw him in crayon and write Trump. Who cares? The point isn't whether you're right. The point is whether you have power or not. So it turns out the bottom of the barrel is actually Trump himself.
Right, which is stunning also to think, because imagine that they didn't actually fake the results. That means they truly believed, truly in their heart of hearts, believed that the election was somehow stolen. Like, that's how good the Kool-Aid is. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's even the grifters hired, given $6 million for this. I mean, Mike Lindell is also like, that's not fake. You know what I mean? That's real delusion. That is real. And speaking of real delusion, we have to go to the response and the reaction to the results of this biased, one-sided, partisan audit conducted by people who've never conducted an audit, by the former president himself, the loser of the 2020 election. Since he's not on Twitter anymore, he's got all the characters he needs, and I apologize in advance for reading them all. But he writes, the fake news, if you don't throw up a graphic, this is gonna be weird for me, is lying about the Arizona audit report. The leaked report conclusively shows there were enough fraudulent votes, mystery votes, and fake votes to change the outcome of the election 4 or 5 times over. Then he lists a bunch of numbers that I don't know where he got from. This is not even the whole state of Arizona, but only Maricopa County. It would only get worse. There is fraud and cheating in Arizona, and it must be criminally investigated. More is coming out in the hearing today. So about the hearing today, we're waiting sort of updates about it, but essentially it seems that this Cyber Ninjas is still going to be recommending a whole host of changes to Arizona voting, which we could see coming. I mean, they didn't have to do this to do what states like Georgia have already done, or states like Texas have already done, right? But so they're talking about, okay, the verification on the outside of the ballot, how is that wrong? And your verification system is bad. So who knows the grift that will spawn off of this, the amount of lies and continued sort of money making and taxpayer dollar schemes that will, this is not the end of it, so to speak.
Yeah, so look, there's the funny part, and then I want to ask you guys a question. The funny part, of course, that it turns out there was a report out, local report out at 10:30 that Cyber Ninjas were going to say that Biden won the election. But Trump, as usual, didn't do his homework and sent the email at 11, half an hour later, saying, oh, these are great, credible auditors, and they're going to show all this fraud, et cetera. If he just read, which I know he's incapable of doing, he would have found out they're actually going to say the opposite. And in fact, they had, like I said, the news was already out. He's so dumb, which by the way goes to like the point that we were discussing earlier, which is, look, Trump is both patient zero in spreading the lies and willfully so, but he's also patient zero, and is a rare situation where you could be both of these things, in being the lunatic that actually believes every single conspiracy theory. He's always, like, people thought like, oh, he went after Obama on the birth certificate because he wanted to like stoke racial tendencies, et cetera. Sure, but it's also because he really believed Obama was not born in America. And people, like, every reporter thinks, no, nobody's that unsophisticated. Yeah, Trump's that unsophisticated. He's a lunatic. He used to watch Alex Jones, said it's a fantastic show. He believes every one of those conspiracy theories, including his own. But he lives in a space in his head, which is an amazing place, where he could try to physically change things knowing that he's lying, but still believe it. It's amazing, it's amazing. I've never seen anybody else pull it off before. But the question I was gonna ask you guys is, do you think that this will do anything for right-wingers in snapping them back to reality? Or no, it's just gonna take another 24 hours and they're back into, Cyber Ninjas, the Kraken, anti-Kraken bear spray, and it was obviously not wrong, and Satanists.
I mean, I sort of touched on that earlier. I definitely think it will be the latter. what is reality? How do you can't be snapped back into something that doesn't exist if you're on their side of things. You know what I mean? Like nothing. They're definitely going to move the goalpost. They already are. Also, like you were saying, I think they are like Trump, and I think in Trump's brain, like he's such a narcissist and everything that like just the things that he says are true because he says them. You know what I mean? Like that's how his brain works. So that's how he is able to believe all the things that he says, because like what he says is what is real in his mind, and his followers, I think, are the same way. But no, we're already seeing it with what Francesca was saying about the way they're saying, look, okay, yes, it confirms that Biden won, but it also points to a lot of, foundational problems with the way our elections work. And now we're going to fix those problems. And that just means more voter suppression laws or whatever. They're going to use this as an excuse to continue to try to keep people from voting in any way they can, which is also very, very bad. So that's why I was saying I'm not encouraged at all that this will have like actual positive impacts on them or their big lie or how they feel about any of it, me personally.
Yeah, and last thing, I mean, I think Republicans are still gonna use this report to try and do just that, even though it didn't show that Trump won. So this is from the Elizabeth Howard, who's a counsel at the Brennan Center. She says to the Washington Post, if you read the report, Cyber Ninja gives themselves a million outs with these numbers. They're desperately trying to suggest that routine procedures are suspicious, because they don't have election administration experience or knowledge, which is exactly like, I don't get it, so it's fake. I don't understand I don't know how to run an election. The election board must be rigged. And somehow that then does work. So yeah, like I said, I think there'll be more to this story. And there already is, as you will go over in just coming up in a bit.
Yeah, and now they're going to review Texas's. Francesca said, I think, honestly, Trey made the best point. I never thought about it that way, that he's such a narcissist, such a nuclear level narcissist, that he thinks if I said it, it must be true. So hence it doesn't have to be true. That's amazing. It's amazing. For rational people, it is really hard to wrap your mind around that. And so, yeah, and he won Texas. All he could do is unwin it. But for him, it doesn't matter.
Like, why?
Okay, and if he said there was fraud, well, damn it, there was fraud. And if it was in Texas, then damn it, it was in Texas. And it would show that he won by a bigger margin. And what difference would it make? Well, actually, to him, it would make all the difference, because this isn't about reality, it's about his ego. So if he could say that he won by more in Texas, that would help his ego. And the people who follow him, oh, so sad. So sad. But hey, listen, enjoy your alternate reality. And tell Kang the Conqueror to send us the good one, not the bad one, okay? Okay, really deep into that MCU reference. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.